Hey, what's up, Matt? This is a late night demo video for you for your Solo Saber Scraptec. Thank you for picking up one of these. There is a lot of stuff going on with this guy, so we're going to go over my desk. I'll show you everything that I did to it, how to work it, and then at the end, let me know if you have any questions, and it's my intention to get this out in the mail to you first thing Monday morning. Thanks, man. All right, Matt, we got your Scraptec here. First of all, thank you for your support on this run. I really appreciate you picking one of these up. I believe you were even on the sign-up sheet when I showed the actual prototype. So thank you for picking one of these up. I really like the weathering that came out of Astoria's workshop here when you sent it over to him for that. Some very unique weathering to mine. So it's cool to see different renditions of this saber done. This has a lot of modifications on it that you and I talked about. First one being the Scraptec wheel. Now, as you'll notice, and I mentioned earlier, I put it up here rather than down here. Couldn't put it in here, obviously. I would have got in the way of the LED strips, but putting it right here up against this lip kind of messed with the Scraptec mechanism for your belt a little bit, so I didn't like that. This is a pretty big boy, and it's pretty top heavy because this entire neck piece is pretty much solid brass with a small hole going through it for wire passage. So it's a little top heavy. So it made sense to put the Scraptec here. You can hang this from your belt and it will feel fine. All right, so that was the idea behind that. You and I talked about the OLED screen. You didn't like the OLED screen or OLED screens in general. So what you did was you sent me some steel baffling. I cut a piece out here. I heat stained it, put the steel baffling in. Then I put a piece of diffusion material behind it. Then I designed and 3D printed a holder to go behind that diffusion, and it holds an 8-pixel LED strip. So this piece lights up. You'll see that here in a second, although I sent you a short video. All right. We did that again with the steel baffling here in the main chamber area. So originally you and I were talking about maybe putting that in front of this, but then when I got it in the mail, asked you if you wouldn't, or if you wanted it here in the back rather, so that we could have these brass pieces of the actual chamber show through. So I think that gives it some nice dimension, and you'll see that crystal behind there light up here in a second. All right, you've got your regular 10-pixel accent strip under this guy, so you'll see that light up. You're running a KR Sabers V4 Ecopixel. It's very hard to see, like this is a long guy, so I'm almost hitting my camera when I put it up like that. But you can see, of course, the LED strips right here through your handle. So you've got an 18 strip right here, and you've got another 18 pixel strip right here that are in the chassis. All right, 2-button setup. So right here, that's power. Back here, that's auxiliary. You adjust the tightness of this little piece right here. Is basically a plate that slides in. There's a little set screw right here, and there's a little set screw right there. I have it adjusted properly for now. It is possible to tighten those too much though. So if you do it in the future, you tighten those up too much, your buttons won't actuate. Just know that there's a little bit of tweaking involved if you ever mess with this mechanism. All right, but taking off your handle, and be careful not to unscrew this part. I did hand crank it as tight as I could. I did not glue it just in case it needed any kind of maintenance in the future. All right, so it's hand cranked, it's nice and tight, but don't unscrew that part right there. Just unscrew your handle. We'll talk about your handle real quick. You would ask me to put some steel baffling in one more place, and that was right here in the pommel itself. So this baffling was pretty thick, so I tried to cut it as best I could to be a press fit, and I got that pretty good in there. It actually took quite a bit of beating to get it to line up properly, nice and even. It is a super tight press fit in there, and I did heat stain that as well, so you shouldn't have any problems with that coming out on you. All right, and then the chassis itself, this is my Eco chassis that you and I had decided to go with, but you have a removable battery set up here, so an 18650. Spring side is your negative. It snaps right in there. Solo Sabers over here for me, says Scraptec over here in Arabic. Proffie B3. This is adhesed down to the board because there are a ton of wires coming to this board. All right, you can get to your SD card with a pair of tweezers. You never have to move the board, and then a 90-degree data cable fits in there fine. with a kill switch right here, right in front of the board. So if we flip that, I have two versions of K-Sith's Scraptec font on here. I have a light side, which you're looking at right now. So these two LEDs are wired in line with each other. They do the same thing. You see this going back and forth here. Your crystal going there. And of course your other LED strip here. All right, until we come over here and we hit power. And I'll show you the dark side real quick, just tap auxiliary.
Scraptec.
The dark side, of course, brings you to the red blade and red accents. It can be a little bit tricky to enter color change mode when you have a setup like this. So that's why you and I talked about just putting a couple different versions of this font on here. So that's what you've got there. All right, we'll go ahead and put the handle on. Our 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker. Just screw this handle all the way down, and when it locks down nice and tough, it will align with the chassis. And of course you can see those LEDs on both sides, right? Beefy boy. We'll put a blade in here, but before we do, I wanted to show you your blade plug. So you sent me this blade plug. I did weather it up a bit for you, and I'll put this in your box. All right, but this is your blade retention right here. So you want to back this up, which I have it backed up already. You don't ever have to mess with this guy. But this saber is intended for a 7/8 inch blade. All right, so we'll put our blade in there, lock it down, hit power. So you've got an unstable blade for the dark side. And then a energy blade in green,
Scraptec,
for the light side. Blade lockup is hitting auxiliary, or holding down auxiliary and hitting the saber. And then they have the same sound track on each one, so just hold down power for about 1 second. All right. Hold it down for another second and let go to turn that off. All right, so we'll go ahead and take this guy out of here. I'll just go ahead and put your blade plug in now. Be aware that your blade plug is just a little bit snug, not super tight in there, but once you put it in there like that, you're probably gonna have to take a pair of tweezers or something and pull it out. It's not super tight, it's just snug enough to where it's not gonna just fall out into your hand. All right, but it does have some shine through. All right, and then when we're done, of course, we'll just come over here and take our handle off. We'll turn it on and flip it off with the kill switch, and it kills power like it should. Now, when you want to take the battery out, you'll probably need a tool and just come over here and pop the battery out from the positive side, which is over here by the speaker. All right, but that is basically how you work your Scraptec. Let me know if you have any questions. Of course, it's Saturday evening now, so this will go out in the mail to you first thing Monday. Thanks, man.